I don't have the music. I don't have the music, so I'll just sing it in the background. Ba 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 ba! Hooray! And welcome to Prop Live. Nailed it! Welcome to Prop Live, your weekly prop and costume making Q&A session. I'm Bill Duran, and I am here with another international cosplay guest from way across the planet, whose internet connection seems to be a bit better than Tom's. Welcome, Mr. Sunday Cosplay himself. Hello there.
Hi.
Hailing all the way from Australia, where it's still sunny out, apparently, which is fantastic.
Yep, it's midday. It's lunchtime.
Oh, it's Friday there, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, it's already Friday. Well, there you go.
We're in the future.
Hey, welcome to the show. It's really great to have you here. For those who are uninitiated, Jarrah is the man behind Sunday Cosplay, and you can go check him out over. Just look up Sunday Cosplay on Facebook. Boop. You can go check out your wonderful. You're competing with Jessica Negri there with your costume. I like it a lot. I've always enjoyed that you mix really fantastic costumes with really fun costumes, like your Pikachu battle armor.
It makes everything more fun.
Yes, it really does. Now, we met for the very first time at the airport in Atlanta. I remember this like 1 or 2 years ago. And you had built your own frame for your
bags? Yep.
Yeah, for your bags. And it didn't seem like that went great. You want to tell us about that?
So, because I have armor, I wanted to not have the plane company destroy my bags in packing. But they managed to destroy the costume and the frame.
Oh,
they
no.
literally bent metal bars in the frame of the bag. Yeah. And I didn't recognize Bill, except I know I'd seen his face, and I realized it was because I look at your picture a lot from How to Measure Your Head.
Yes.
Later on, and I said, "You look really familiar. Do I know you from somewhere?" And you're like, "I look exactly like my twin brother."
I'm so helpful.
Yeah. That was interesting. Didn't help a little bit.
That was fun. That was a really fun Dragon Con from what I recall. I had a good time.
Yes, it was really fun.
You had your Batman in a pink dress costume.
Princess Batman, yeah.
Princess Batman, yeah. What was the genesis behind that costume?
It's actually a meme. It's a Tumblr thing.
Oh, right.
You've ever seen that little sketch?
Yeah.
It's like, what's your favorite Disney princess? And it's like, Batman.
That's great. Cool. Yeah. Now, you've also got an Etsy store up, don't you?
Yes.
Why don't we talk about that real quick? It seems like we would be remiss if we did not. If you guys look up Sunday Cosplay over on Etsy, you've got a handful of really cool looking things over there. I'm particularly interested in these badges and how you made them. You used a laser, right?
Yep. I don't know if you can see it. There's a big red. It's just a red box over there, and it's a big laser cutter. And I bought that when I used to have a day job, and I thought this will be a great idea. And I pretty much never use it except for the badges these days.
Yeah, well, it's really really handy for that. Now, what are those? Those are made out of just acrylic plastic. The badges. They are just acrylic plastic. That's a microsurface, metallic microsurface. So it's got a metallic veneer over the top of brushed bronze. All right.
And then just etch back to the black underneath.
That's really cool. I think I have some stuff. I think it's styrene, but it's pretty similar to that. And that it's got that nice brushed metal look, but my laser won't actually cut brushed metal, but it will totally handle that stuff.
I have seen that stuff. It's a bit thicker than this stuff. This is like, it's called microsurface because it's probably only maybe 50 microns thick.
Oh, it's really, really thin.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's like a layer of paint almost. That thin.
I gotcha. Yeah, neat stuff. Everyone, go over to Etsy and look up Jarrah's store there. It's some really cool stuff. Some skulls, a really, really sweet looking Magneto helmet. Totally worth checking out. One quick thing while the show gets ramped up here, for those of you watching live, one of our regulars, Monk, has put together a bingo game. I don't know if I'm going to link it in the chat here. .comraid.net/bingo. It is apparently we do a lot of these shows. Well, I know I do a lot of these shows. We do one every week, but there are things that I do and say that are done with enough frequency that there is now a bingo game around it. So if we look over here, if you go to that URL, let's see, go to my web browser. This is the Punish Props Chat Bingo. And to get like a B, for example, I would have to mention the rotary tool. Now, that doesn't count. What I'm saying right now, everybody, it doesn't count while I'm saying it out loud while I describe it. So if you have rotary tool, that doesn't count. But if you did, and I did say it in the actual thing, you would get a B, the B in bingo. And to get the I would have to be wearing my old orange hoodie. So you're out of luck. I'm not wearing that. And so on and so forth. So those of you in chat, go check out that link there, and we'll see if anyone wins at bingo. All right. This is fun. I hope someone gets the bingo. Cool. All right. What else do we have going on? Do you have any what cool projects you're working on nowadays?
There's something I'd really love to talk about, but I'm not allowed to.
Oh, no.
First NDA I've ever done, so it's been interesting, and my Facebook page is a barren wasteland because I haven't put a post anything. I'm just making a sculpting bust at the moment to reproduce and have, because we don't have them here, or they're very, very rare, so I thought, I can 3D print one and then finish it and mold and cast it and have it for people, because I think the only one available is the one from Monster Makers in America.
Right, yeah.
And I found the ones I have used have been a bit small.
Yeah.
Heads.
That's a pretty good idea. I like that. Now you, one of the other reasons I was really excited to talk to you is you're really into like 3D modeling for 3D printing and that sort of thing. Something I've been getting into a lot lately. In fact, you can see my 3D printer right there.
Yeah. Well, there's one sort of there.
Yeah.
In the corner.
Oh yeah.
But I've got a big one that's not up at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. This is our entry level one here, but I already have a list of more 3D printers that I want to get. Like I got to get a resin one for doing small detailed things. I got to get a big one for doing like full helmets and stuff. I imagine in a year I'll probably have like 5 or 6 3D printers.
Yeah, probably. You can go the way of Sean and Natasha.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'll catch up at all. They're crazy. Now, what's your background in 3D modeling? Was that something you had formal training in, or did you just go teach yourself?
I literally refused to do 3D at university when I was doing graphic design. And for some reason, and this was just before 3D printing became a thing. And now I'm looking back with regret.
Yeah. You had more, you had opportunities back then to learn, and now they...
3D, I just didn't like the 3D space or how stuff worked back then. And then, I don't know, being able to bring it into physical form made a huge difference on what made it interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah, there is something really magical when you 3D model something on the screen. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Then when that machine just poops out a copy of it, you're like, oh.
It's so, you've got that little awe that you just sit there and watch for several hours when you print your first thing.
Yep, this came out of my brain, you guys.
Yep. Yeah, but I just basically taught myself, just watched lots and lots of tutorials on YouTube.
What do you usually model with?
I usually use Maya.
Maya, yeah. That's where I have most of my actual formal training is using Maya. But we've been diving into more CAD type stuff like 123D Design or Fusion 360, which if those of you watching at home, you have no reason to not go get those because they're free, or at least with Fusion 360, if you are a hobbyist or a startup or a student, you can get it for free. So you should go grab that and start learning.
Actually, May is free if you're a student too.
That's right. It is. I find that now I got a lot of formal training with Maya, so I kind of know my way around. But the interface is extremely daunting if you don't know like where you're going, because Maya does everything. If you just want to model stuff, it's kind of hard at first to condense it down to just the tools you need. Because Maya is like, hey, do you want to do literally everything? You're like, ah.
Yeah, and I think Max is more complex though too. Again.
Yeah.
But once you get like the few things of May you need to know to make most props and cosplay stuff, it's fairly simple from then on. Yeah,
just basic polygon modeling. It's the sort of stuff that you can do in Blender or 3D Studio Max. Once you sort of pare it down to just a handful of tools, and it really is just a handful of tools that you need to do polygon modeling. It's not so bad.
It's just a matter of learning the interface to use said tools.
Oh, yeah.
I still use Blender to add shelves to my stuff before I print it.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. Yep, Blender's totally free as well, everybody. There's no reason to not go teach yourself. So go for it.
Yeah. Also, Sculptris, if you...
Oh, I've heard about that.
It's a very simplified version of ZBrush.
That's right.
For anyone who doesn't want to learn the complexities of ZBrush, it's great as well.
Cool. You know what we'll do too in the show notes for this? We'll put a list of all of the links to all of these software packages. Yeah, Brittany's already started putting out links in there. Which, by the way, I want to take just one quick moment here, everyone, especially those of you guys watching live. Go to Twitter. All right. Look up Lady Longshanks, all one word. That's my wife, Brittany. She is the one who does all the behind-the-scenes work for Prop Live. She's doing the notes right now. She's watching live. She gets it all set up ahead of time. So Brittany is the glue that holds this show together. Go to Twitter, Lady Longshanks, and just thank her for all the hard work she puts on for this show. Tell her I sent you so that I get some good husband points.
Guys.
One thing I want to talk about, I'm sure if you guys have been paying attention to me at all this week, you probably know that I finished my gun from Star Wars. Ta-da! I'm so excited about this one. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Of course, there is a post on punishprops.com all about it, and links to several of the videos that we did for it, as well as the where did I put that? I didn't put a link to it. I'll have to update it. But there are free blueprints for Ray's Blaster. So again, you have no excuse to not go get that and try and build it yourself. And I wrote an article on tested.com all about how I got the metallic finish. So everyone go check that out. That's pretty cool. I'm excited. I'm glad it's done and it turned out okay. Let's see if I have anything else to talk about. Oh, and the last thing, too, for those of you guys watching live, if you want to submit your... make sure that doesn't autoplay. If you want to submit questions, the way you do it is if you go to punishprops.com/live, go to our web browser here. Right on our page there, you can see not only do we have the whole interface with the chat and everything, but we have a form there for you to submit your questions that we answer on this show. That's the only place where we collect them now because it's the easiest way for us to do it. So that's where you want to send your questions. All right. Cool. All right. I think that's enough jibber jabber. Are you ready to handle some of those difficult prop and costume making questions?
Sure.
Of course you're ready. You're Superman. Yep. You were born ready.
Yep.
All right. I just have to find where I put them. All right. Here we go. Lots of great questions from a lot of our regulars like C Skipro. If you're learning how to 3D model for the first time, what program would be the most appropriate to learn on? Are there any good references you would suggest for beginners to pick up? Now, Jarrah, did you jump right in, just go straight to Maya when you got started?
I'm pretty sure I I started in Blender like
Mm-hmm.
for a little while before. Like I had one printer and it broke within a month,
Yeah.
and I learned to model around that, and then I didn't touch it again for another year and a half.
Oh, I gotcha.
And then I went into Maya after I'd done Blender for that tiny little bit. Kind of didn't know a huge amount, but I started off getting like exporting Pepakura models for the base mesh,
Mm-hmm.
and then just sort of moving them around to try and fix up the shapes and stuff like that. And then I just sort of realized, hey, I need to do this particular thing to it, and then I'd look up the tutorial on how to do that in YouTube.
Yes, what I find is tricky looking up tutorials is finding specific things.
Keywords, yeah. Knowing the keywords is very hard.
But I will say, if you go to Autodesk, and I'll put this link in the notes so that Brittany can find it. They have an area where what they call their learning path. Here we go. There you go. And I'll put it in the chat as well. So this is a whole bunch of different stuff. User tutorials, 1-minute startup movies, learning. They have their own YouTube channel. It's pretty great that there is that the Autodesk is. Hey, who's that guy?
It's Beefy Photography.
Oh,
hello there. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah.
We ought to have that guy on the show sometime. Anyway,
Upstairs.
Anyway, Autodesk has a place where they collect a lot of really good tutorial content to get started. And also, too, programs like 123D Design, which is a little more CAD based, but it's also very, very entry level. They have a handful of just beginner tutorials to get you acclimated to their software that I went through that were really handy as well.
ZBrush has a similar sort of thing. It has a full range of everything you need to know about ZBrush.
That's really good. Yeah. If any of you guys are really into more sculptural type stuff, ZBrush is what you want to go with for sure. Cool. Well, thank you, C Skipro, for your question. And yeah, I'm excited to see people interested in learning basically how to teach themselves to 3D model.
I'm gonna. I was just talking to Jordan about it the other day. I want to do an ebook on that.
Oh, it's a good idea. Like 3D modeling for beginners or something. That'd be really good.
I'm not sure about that because there's a lot of different programs.
Right.
That sort of maybe take you through the base, but I was more looking at how to, once it's printed and then finishing it all.
Mm-hmm.
There's a large process there.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of different methods too.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab another one. This one comes from Iron Mark Props. I'm building the Iron Man Mark 46 out of EVA foam. The suit is a tight fit, and the whole torso is just one piece. How or where could I cut it so I can wear it? A zipper on the back, cut one side, and Velcro. He sent us some pictures. Oh, so he's got his whole torso built up.
Does that include the abdominals?
Yeah, the abs are all included,
Yeah.
the whole torso thing, and there's just no way to actually get into it, and he's curious about how one might do that. I was just thinking about the same thing because there are some more pictures out today for the new Mass Effect armor, and
Yeah,
it
I was just thinking of that.
it looks really awesome, and I'm like, boy, how am I going to get into that? That looks like
A lot more complex than the last one too.
Oh yeah. As far as the Iron Man armor, though, obviously it wasn't designed for a human to really get in and out of it. So you got to get creative where you're going to put that seam. Do you ever have this issue with any of the costumes you've made?
I did have the issue with Lich King, but I built it without a back because there's tape that goes over the back,
Mm-hmm.
so you can sort of just slide your arms in and step in. Everything else has been rather just large enough for me to just, because the torso is twice my size.
Maybe add a cape to your Iron Man. I know oh Lord, look, my Lord Shaxx costume is right here. How handy is that? I just modified where the latex is peeling off a whole bunch. Whoop! Throw that on the ground. So I I just changed the design a little bit. Wrangle Lord Shaxx around. So this is where the side comes together, and on the actual costume, there's no gap here. But I just added these straps, and I could have hidden these straps if I wanted to, but I decided it looked okay with if you see the straps. So the front just overlaps with the back, and the straps go together. You could do something similar with a zipper or with Velcro. You might want to go with Velcro with Iron Man, so you can make it a little bit more hidden. But usually it just means you have to change the way it looks. You can't make it actually look like Iron Man. You're going to have some sort of overlap there, I think.
You're going to have to cut it, sorry.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Which is a bummer, because it looks really great.
Is the picture up?
Yep. What was that?
Is the picture up?
Yeah, I have the picture up on the live stream. I don't know if I can send it to you, but if you're watching the live stream, you can see it right there. Actually, why don't I put a link in the chat? Let's do that. Boop. There you go. Yeah, there are some lines on the side panel that you could probably try and follow for your seam a little bit. You may have to add some a bit there, but yeah, you're gonna have to tinker with it. It's not gonna be exactly like Iron Man, unfortunately, but I bet it'll still look really cool.
Yeah,
that's
suited a lot more streamlined than the other models too.
Yeah. Thank you for the question there, Iron Mark Props. Next one comes from Monk. This is our bingo man, the guy that put together our super cool bingo, which I wonder, has anyone gotten any letters yet? Let me know in the chat if you got a letter yet.
I got a letter.
Which one did you get?
I got laser cutter.
Oh,
we mentioned laser cutter.
Talked about the laser cutter. Yep. All right, Monk wants to know, do you have any tips for pouring resin into a cold cast mold without the flow of resin stripping off areas of metal powder? Do you ever do any cold casting? I
do a fair bit of it, actually.
Oh, yeah?
I had that issue once, but... Oh, God, I've got someone at the door.
I'll keep going here. You go ahead and answer the door. Great. What I like to do is, if it's a really shallow mold, let's say I'm doing an emblem or a badge, I'll pour the resin in just very slowly and let it kind of creep over the surface. If you let it drop and hit the surface, it's going to displace some of that powder. Or if you tip your mold and let it sort of fall down the side of the mold, it'll pull some of that powder with you, or with the resin. And if you have a deep mold and you're going to pour down into the mold, down the side of the mold, let's say, it'll pull the powder with it as well, which is always a bummer. So if it's a deep mold and you have to drop the resin in, you can probably aim for a spot down below that you don't care if the powder gets displaced. Oh, you got Smooth On. You got a delivery of Smooth On products. Yep. How handy is that?
It's good. It explains the missing half of the order too.
That is so perfect. Yeah, we get a lot of those blue and yellow boxes shipped here as well. I don't know if I have any hiding around here. Anyway, yeah, with the cold casting, something else you can do too is if you have to pour down into a deep mold, you could put a funnel or a straw or something so that the resin, you can guide where the resin lands in the mold so that it hits a spot, hopefully, that you're not too worried about the metallic powder getting displaced. Yeah. Do you have any other cold casting tips?
I generally I brush it around in the mold first, the
powder?
The powder. But also mix powder in with the first layer with black. Mm-hmm. So if it does manage to displace some, but you just be really, really careful. I just pour it into one single spot so it just pools there, and then I around rather than if you're pouring from a height, that's when you sort of get issues. If you get as low as you can in the mold, you tend to be kind of okay. Yeah,
a lot of times too, if I'm designing a mold or a piece that I know is going to get molded and I'm going to cold cast it, then I'll try and figure out how I'm going to pour the resin before I put that all together. Yeah. So. But, there you go. I love
casting so much.
Yeah, cold casting is cool. The raised blaster pistol, I'm going to try and do one cold cast with aluminum powder. So I'm excited to see how that turns out.
You've got better aluminium powder in America.
We do? We have the good stuff?
Yeah,
All
you
right.
do.
Well, when I visit Australia, I know what to bring. Bring you just a big old pouch of aluminum powder.
Well, you've got some super bright stuff, and you also have some fairly dull stuff that you polish up.
I personally only have one type, but it looks like maybe I have to go and try out some others.
There's one that comes out that looks like it's almost pre-polished, like it hasn't.
Oh yeah,
Doesn't seem oxidized yet.
I gotta shop around. I bought a $20 package of aluminum powder from Amazon like 4 years ago, and I'm still working through it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a kilo that I'm still working my way through.
Yep.
Goes a lot further than I expected.
Oh yeah. All right, that question came from Monk. I'm excited to see whatever it is he's cold casting for sure. All right. Let's see here. Oh, Jackie Craft in the chat says Bill said smooth on 3 times in a row. That's pretty good. Okay, then let's see. Let's grab another question. This one is from Lee. Do you have any tips or advice for using lacquer-based paint on EVA foam? I wouldn't. That's the way I've never used lacquer on EVA, and I probably wouldn't. I really only like using acrylics because they're flexible. What would you say?
I would say I assume that normally goes on wood, not so much foam.
It's tricky because lacquers do have a lot of finishes that are really nice, especially metallic finishes.
Well, I was actually looking at the I'm not sure if you've got it there. It's a polyurethane based lacquer water.
Oh, really?
Cure. Yeah, and they use it for tabletops to get that shine. I was wondering how well it'd go on like 3D prints or foam because it is a polyurethane for some reason.
Yeah.
You know how you can get the epoxy paints that they paint floors with?
Right. Yeah.
It's quite durable. I was wondering what that'd be because they're a polyurethane epoxy. So I was wondering what that'd be like.
I bet it could work. I mean, it really just depends on if your armor or props are going to be, if you want them to be flexible or not. So, like Lord Shaxx here is coated in latex rubber, and it's, as you can see, it's very, very flexible. Like I can just fold these pieces in half. But if that was coated in lacquer or an epoxy, it would likely crack and chip. So it really depends on. Wow, that's gross. What's going on down there? Oh, that's cured. Looks like some dribbles or something. Lord Shaxx dribbled his food on his back somehow. Yeah, he was. Lee was considering using it to get a brushed metal look for a prop. Yeah, it really just depends if it's gonna flex or not. For a prop like the Jade Rabbit prop I have right there, you might be able to get away with it because it's EVA foam, but it's not gonna flex or bend like your armor would.
Another option, if you want to do brushed metal, is you can use the same aluminium powder and mix it with like the clear epoxy coats, like XTC.
Oh yeah.
Brush that on, and then you can buff it back much the same as you would.
That's right. Yeah, that's cool. Good call. As always, do small scale tests.
Yep.
Don't rush into it. Don't finish your whole set of Iron Man armor and then just brush a whole bunch of stuff on willy-nilly. Good luck, Lee. All right. This next question comes from Josh. When using a metallic paint on your guns, how do you seal the weathering without affecting the metallic shine or making the weathering shiny? Well, I just did this on Ray's blaster, which, where did that go? I don't know where it went. I thought I would keep that right here, but I don't. Do you have a favorite way to seal any of your metallic finishes?
I've never done it. I tried it, I tried to clear, and it just didn't work out. So
yeah,
all my metallic finishes have been cold cast, and so I haven't really sealed them at all.
I recommend, especially for like props and stuff, there's a handful of clear finishes that do an okay job of not dulling that metallic shine. Because there's nothing worse than getting like cold casting something, getting that really nice finish, and then spraying something on there that just makes it look like crap.
Yeah.
The metallizer sealer from Testers for their metallizer lacquers is pretty good. It's kind of like a matte lacquer finish, but it does a pretty good job of keeping that metallic shine. And then the aqua gloss that I used on Raised Blaster, it's from Allclad. And of course, we'll have links to these down in the show notes. But Allclad makes an aqua gloss among other clear finishes. But the aqua gloss is like a shiny. If you have a really shiny metal, it's like a glossy, shiny metal. And that did a pretty good job of both protecting the chrome finish on Raised Blaster and retaining that metallic shine. So those are a couple of options for you, Josh. This is why I have... What was that?
There it is.
This is why in my paint cabinet, I have one of everything. Like when I go to the hobby store, Brittany and I were just there to get paints to paint little spaceships. We're like, I'll take one of those and one of those and two of those. Let's just try everything.
I wish I could do that.
Is it a matter of not having as many hobby shops where you are, or
we just don't have the brands that you have, and I much prefer to use those brands because there's actually some resources that go with them.
Right,
people have used them before and know what's going on.
Right. Yeah, like I really like the Tamiya paints. Do you guys have Tamiya paints out there?
I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah, we've got
those are really good. Oh yeah, I imagine the all of the miniature painting. That's what's funny. Like, all of the stuff that those are designed for, like Tamiya or Citadel or Testers, are designed for like painting trains and model kits. And I've gone in there and they have those like 1 ounce bottles. I'm like, yeah, I need 8 of those because I'm using these to paint a set of armor.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab another question. This one comes from Terry. I know you've said in the past that Angelus acrylic leather paints can be used in an airbrush. What about leather dye? Can it be airbrushed? Or do you have any other advice on applying it to large pieces of leather? I'll be honest.
Raven oil dye?
Yeah. I don't have a lot of... I've done some leather working, but I don't have a ton of experience. Have you done much with dyeing leather?
I've only done a tiny bit where I did use raven oil. The consistency it's very watery, so realistically there's no reason you can't use it.
Yeah, I imagine it would go through an airbrush pretty easy. Yeah. I don't know what sort of finish you're going to get that way. I mean, normally you just apply a lot of... You like wet down your leather, or do you? I don't know. I don't know a lot about leather working, but then you just apply a ton of the leather dye. Yeah. And then like just mop it up. It's kind of like staining wood, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I imagine you can airbrush it. I don't know.
It'd just be as thick as brushing it on with the brush. It'd just be like very fine layer over the top rather than soaking in a whole bunch.
Yeah, it could be.
So it would scuff. Like
it wouldn't penetrate as much.
Yeah, wouldn't penetrate much.
Yeah. Anyway, Terry, it's worth a try, I would guess. Obviously do a small test or something, but I imagine that would work. Give it a shot. Give it a shot, Terry, and then report back next week. You have homework. All right. Someone in the chat, Discipline of Yawgmoth, says that the consistency you're looking for with an airbrush is that of milk. It's a good sort of benchmark for how thick something should be to go through your airbrush. Yeah. Cool.
Raven will be fine then.
Yeah. All right, let's keep rolling here. Leslie says, my current project is Cador Demo Corp Ice Mall. I'm going to do a little quick Googling because I have no idea what that is. Oh, this is a Warhammer thing. All right. That's a tiny picture. Hey, Google, you want to give me... I really wish that Google would automatically just keep large image searches on. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I found a picture. All right, I'm going to put a link in the chat so that everyone else can follow along. One of these really cool ice malls, ice hammer things. And let's do that. So here we go. There are these models. There are. That's what we're looking for. These guys look really cool and giant and badass. All right, let's continue the question. There it is. During the process, I discovered that the 32 millimeter internal PVC pipe I was using was in fact 37 millimeters. When I went and measured a few different sizes to find out, none of them were what they were stated to be. Are there any common building materials out there that you should never trust the size of?
I think most of the sizes you're looking at, they measure the internal diameter, not the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The goofy thing about plumbing is they care about like the internal diameter because that's where the material has to go through with your liquids. And as prop makers, like, we don't care what the internal diameter is usually. So yeah, when I go to the store, let me tell me if you do this too. I bring like my calipers. Like, I go to the hardware store with my calipers, and I'm the weirdo in the aisle, like measuring all the pipes. Like, I know what it says on the package, but I don't trust you, Home Depot.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. I don't take calipers. I've got I don't know, I can't find it. It's a small measuring tape. It's only 2 meters long.
Oh yeah.
I not have that with me.
Yep.
If I know I need to be measuring things, can't rely on them to have one around.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, any wood, in general, if it's a 2x4, that's not how big it is. It is. If it says it's 8 feet long, it's actually 8 feet long. So if it says 2x4x8, 2 of those numbers are lies. So again, measure. And I've had this happen before where because I'll get a piece of wood and I'll bring it home to cut it into a sword blade or something. And I get home and I'm like, oh, it's perfectly the right size, right? No, it's too small. Horse apples. So yeah, be the guy in the hardware store with a caliper or a tape measure or a ruler. Just measure it while you're there before you bring it home.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I imagine there's a lot of weird interactions with cosplayers and hardware store employees.
Yes, I've had I met him there, and he does paint, and because I paint most of my costumes with house paint, because I can get like their test size, so they're enough to do most costumes, and we'll just be there for 2 hours trying to get the colors right for me.
I did the same thing with, I wanted to make a green screen, and I got the numbers I would need. Like, someone on a forum said, hey, bring these numbers to the guy at Home Depot, and he'll mix you the paint. So I brought it to the guy at Home Depot, and I was like, can you mix this for me? And he looked at it, and he's like, that's crazy. I was like, but can you just do it and see what happens? He's like, okay. And he's like, this wacky green paint? I'm like, perfect. Send it. I'll take it home.
I want this. I want it.
Yeah. Just do what the numbers say, paint man.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. And good luck with your giant hammer costume. That thing looks awesome.
Yeah. I'm keen to see how you do the ice-looking effects.
Yeah, me too. All right. This next one comes from Combustible Props. This is a good question, too. What is your ideal workshop space? So what if you had your druthers, if money was no option and you got to pick where and how all your setup was, what would that look like? This is something I put a lot of thought into.
There's a picture going around the internet where it's just basically a big square and it's completely empty and it's like bathroom, bedroom, kitchen in the corner.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's perfect.
What is your current space like? Is what we're looking at right now? Most of your workspace?
There's this and another room. Like I have a 2-story house. All the bedrooms are upstairs, and downstairs is just workshop. And I spend all day down here and go upstairs to sleep, and that's basically it. So I've got the dining room and lounge room are actually workshop.
Yeah, we have a really big dining room upstairs, and I haven't co-opted it yet. We have a pretty good amount of space down here. But if I took the dining room table out of there, I would have so much more workspace. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. But we don't have basements here, so this is basically my form of a basement is downstairs.
I got you. Yeah, mine, we're looking to move out. We're in a basement right now. Something with higher ceilings because it's safer, and also my wife is very tall, and she would appreciate not hitting her head on everything. But I've put mostly I want to build a space that's big, high ceilings, with good even lighting because I film everything I do.
Light deal.
Yeah, I need to be able to see what I'm working on, but also when I'm filming, here's my setup. I'll show you guys. Here, let me swap this over real fast. I have a camera on a tripod. This follows me around the shop, and I have a light, and this follows me around the shop. So those two things I just have to drag with me while I try and film everything I do. And if I could redesign my shop to accommodate both of those things without having to drag stuff around behind me, that'd be awesome. And also, I need the electrical in this basement is a nightmare. So just about everything runs off of one 15 amp breaker. So if you turn on the heat gun, the lights turn off. So, so I know it's not asking a lot, but I would love to have like 4 20 amp breakers. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
So that is my ideal workspace. More lights, better electrical.
Maybe we can get 3-phase power one day.
Whoa. I'll need that for when I get a Bridgeport milling machine or something, which would be awesome.
I want one. I want a milling machine.
Yeah, you and me both. All right, thank you, Combustible Props. All right. It's fun to hear about what people prioritize in their workspace. It's rarely ever is it like safety. It's like, man, I wish my workspace had a sweet, like a beer fridge in it. That'd be pretty good too. All right, another one of our regulars here. Hey Patch wants to know, he's about done building a new workshop. That's really cool. He just has to sort out the inside, the important part. Any tips on shop feng shui or things you wish you had done when you were first setting up your shop? Well, I know our shop, we rearrange it pretty frequently because the flow, it's not one big rectangular space. This office takes a corner out of it, so it's kind of like a hallway a little bit. So we're always updating and changing and moving stuff around. For example, in your space there, if you were starting from scratch, is there anything you would do differently? Sort of building it up from scratch.
I really like the way Vulcan's layout is.
Yeah.
With just everything around the walls and then one big thing in the middle to work on, where you've got your little workstations around the outside and the main big thing in the middle. I think that works really well. I don't have enough space for something in the middle all the time, so most of my stuff is around the edge.
That's similar to here. Like I was saying, since it's so thin, we don't have enough space to have that middle table that you can walk all the way around. Now, I don't own this house, but if I did, that wall right there would be gone. Like I would remove that wall. Anything that's not load bearing would be gone, and then I could use that space for a big table in the middle that I could walk around. I think that'd be awesome. But if I did that, my landlord would probably be upset. Meh.
Yeah.
It's a good question, though. I like, since we're looking to go buy a house soon or buy a shop with a house next to it. These are all things I've been putting a lot of thought into lately.
Yeah.
Now, would you dedicate, if you had a big space that you were building from the ground up, would you dedicate a pretty good area to 3D printing?
I would dedicate a pretty good area away from anywhere sanding.
Yeah.
So you don't get all the dust through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably try and have that in a separate room. Although they don't need a lot of maintenance, like supervision themselves, so they could easily just be in another part of the house where I set going and at the beginning of the day and leave. So
yeah, that's not a bad idea. You just have a closet that the 3D printer lives in.
I have I put up some plastic and also sheets between the main sort of the dirty workshop area and this where I sort of foam build and print.
Mm-hmm.
So there's very little stuff comes through between the rooms. But this is mainly the 3D printing room and computer room.
Yeah.
I don't know how people get away with having a computer in their main workshop.
We have one little computer in the workshop, and I need to clean that out. I'm pretty sure it's just full of dust. Yeah. But the fortunate thing about this basement is we do have a separate room for that we turned into an office. So this room has a laser, a vinyl cutter, 3D printer, our normal printers in it, and I can shut that door so that very little dust gets in here. So that's definitely
that's the main thing, is keeping your dust away from your expensive
Yes, indeed. All right, that's cool. Thank you. Hey, Patch. Sam has a question. Bio Cosplay Sam. He says, does Angelus leather paint need to be clear coated? Also, roughly how much paint was needed for your shacks? Angelus sells a clear, and I use that on shacks. Let's see here. I don't know that you need it. It's pretty durable stuff because it's meant for like leather boots and stuff, but I got the clear anyway because I did all this weathering on here and I wanted to make sure that didn't wear off or anything, so I put the clear on there. So it's worth getting the clear coat that Angelus sells for their paints, but the paint itself is super durable. And then Shacks didn't need a ton of paint. I base coated everything in white, so I got 2 of their 4-ounce bottles in white, and then I got a big jug of black because I know I'll use that for a lot of other stuff. So I mixed the black and white to get my gray. I got 1 4-ounce jar of orange, and that's all I needed really. You don't need a ton, and those 4-ounce bottles are like $4 or $5. They're not that expensive. Yeah. Do you ever do anything with leather paints, Jarrah? Or you said you just use house paint, like latex house paint?
Not for leather. I've dyed some gloves, but that's about it.
Yes. I love the leather paints for foam work. It's great stuff.
It's something I want to get into because I know I can laser cut and 3D print stamps for leather.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get into that and maybe do some leather scales and stuff like that.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Because I'd like to do sort of a leather style scale now for some things.
Oh,
so I do want to. Yeah.
I saw an Instructables link. I'll have to try and find it. But it was 3D printed leather stamps. Let's see if I Google that right now.
Have that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing in the thing. If you just Google 3D printed leather stamps, you'll see a really cool link. I just dropped it in the chat there, and I'll put it in the show notes. Boop. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool options out there, especially once you get that 3D printer and or laser cutter.
Yeah, it's just a matter of thinking about different things you can do with the 3D printer, like those stamps. It's not really a traditional thing you'd think of, but there are sort of that kind of thing that you can do with it.
Yes. Oh, here we go. I found it. There we go. 3D print your own leather stamps. That's some pretty great stuff there. And those effects that they're getting, especially like this one looks really 3-dimensional. This thing here looks super cool. That's really great. And I bet you can do a lot of that stuff. You can duplicate a lot of that stuff on foam too. Really makes... I want to like spend a month and just play and figure out what I can do with all these things. I have all these tools here. I want to like push them to the limit. Yeah,
that's always the plan.
Yeah.
Experimenting is half the fun.
Oh, yes, definitely. Cool. All right. There you go, Sam. I don't know how we started talking about 3D printing, but that was an answer to your paint question. All right. Okay, this is a good one. Shiropi wants to know what you used as a base for your little Batmobile. Here's a great picture of you in your really cool looking Batmobile. So what was that built on?
Okay, so I started trawling eBay for an old mobility scooter, so it's just a mobility scooter which I picked up for $50 on eBay, and that's instead of you can buy all the components separately, which would set you back way too much money. Mm-hmm. Where you can pick up a mobility scooter for $50 to $100, and it's got the motors, wheels, everything. I did need new batteries, but yeah.
So what did you do to build out the shell, the body shell on there?
That's Pepakura. I found a reasonable model online and then chucked it in May. I made I've placed like 3 rings where the wheels would be, and then sort of just shaped it around where the holes need to be, and then just plocked it on top.
That's really great. And it's all foam, I guess?
Yeah, it's all foam.
Yeah, fantastic. I thought about the same thing. They made, it wasn't Power Wheels. It wasn't the company Power Wheels, but a different company made an 89 Batmobile.
I've seen it, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I think I saw one on eBay for like $900, and I was like very tempted to buy it, but they wouldn't ship it to me. So I was like,
I'm not even sure we'd even have them in Australia. I've just seen one picture of it online.
There aren't a lot of them. No, that one's up there. There's a lot of small vehicles that I want to make.
Yeah,
it's Harrison.
My favorite one is the Jurassic Park Jeep.
Yes, oh, I love those. There is a whole Facebook group. I don't know if you are aware of this. Jurassic Park. What do they call it? Jurassic Park Motor Pool. It's a Facebook group that deals with Jurassic Park vehicles, which is really amazing. There's a lot of people out there modifying Jurassic Park vehicles. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Was it a Ford Forester? Was their vehicle for the one on the rail?
I can't remember exactly, but if you go to the Facebook group, you'll find out all about it. These guys are into it, super into it. I love it. Let's see. Cool. Where were we even talking about? Oh, that was a question about the Batmobile. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Shiropi, for your question. This one here comes in from Don't Try This at Home. Not Adam Savage, unfortunately. That's no, he's one of our regulars. Not Adam Savage. This guy. His name is Matt, I think. He says, in your experience, what's the most commonly used thickness of EVA foam for cosplay? 1/2 inch ish.
Yeah, 6 mil and 12 mil. So 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, that's what I would say. I usually start basing out everything in the 1/2 inch floor mats. Is usually what I go with. I beat the crap out of my costumes. I don't know if you can tell, but Shax just gets thrown in here. And this is the half inch stuff. You can still see the texture on the back of it there. And this is thick enough that it's not going to be really floppy and wobbly.
Yeah, that's the main problem with 6 mils. It's kind of floppy. Can't support its own weight over a chest piece.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I go with. Okay, thank you. Don't try this at home. Next question comes from Dan Goodman. I've been following your molding and casting series, and my question concerns molding a foam piece. Will EVA or EPS withstand the heat and pressure of silicone mold while it sets? Well, it doesn't get hot. Silicone takes a long time to cure. It's not exothermic. And there's not a lot of pressure unless there's a lot of weight. So like you were saying with the 6 millimeter foam, if it was hollow and you put a lot of liquid weight on it, it would collapse in on itself a little bit. So that could be a concern. But if you plan it accordingly, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, depends on the shape of the piece, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. Personally, I don't like to mold EVA foam because I find it difficult to get it to an extremely refined state where I'm going to be willing to invest dollars and time in silicone on molding it. I would rather mold something that was made from like wood that I could sand really nicely, or plastic. So that's my main concern with molding EVA. But yeah, there's a lot you have to consider. Heat is not a problem with silicone though. And let's see here. We got one more good question. This one, it's a very important question coming from Lady Longshanks. She wants to know, how many cats do you have and what are their names?
Me?
Yes.
Oh,
Brittany wants to know about your cats. This is vital information.
I personally don't have any cats. I just like to take pictures with other people's cats. We do have a kitten in the house, though. That's the housemate's cat.
Oh, so all right. So what's the kitten's name?
His name is Snuff, but he just gets called Cat or Kitten.
Yeah.
I don't know. Snuff didn't really catch on.
No.
I'm like, I know your name's Snuff, but what are you doing, Cat?
Brittany's calling you a cat borrower. That's fair.
I do. I go on my cat benches and find cats and take pictures with other people's cats, and I like cats a lot, so there's that.
Yeah, we got our couple. We don't we should get our cats in more of our videos, I think.
The internet loves cats, so just chuck them in everything.
That's right. That's right. I gotta do. The problem is that they don't get to come down here. You have to go outside to get into the shop, and they don't like the outside.
Okay, yeah, I'd prefer the cat would stay away from me when I'm using the soldering iron.
Exactly. Hey, before we finish up here, everybody in the chat, has anyone got a bingo yet? I'm very curious if anyone's got, or does anyone have at least, like, let's say 3 of the things? Let us know in the chat. I'm very interested to see how bingo turned out. In fact, I'm going to look. Excuse me. Jeez, I'm chugging the soda and burping like a crazy person. Oh, I closed my thing. I don't know if I got a bingo.
Oh, I only got 3.
Yeah, I didn't want to tempt myself and mentioned. Let's see here. All right, Bill mentions Booty Cat. I mentioned my cats, but not by name. Bill says, "Hold on to your butts." No, I didn't say that. No. Bill mentions laser cutter. I did mention the laser cutter, so that's 1 for me. Developing Cosplay says OMG. Oh, so the bingo also includes the chat. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, one of mine is anyone says dick butt.
That's a pretty good chance that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rocket Man Prop Scott says, I got B, I, and possibly G. Phoenix Revival got B and O. That's too bad.
I got B N O.
Awesome. I do like that there's a never gonna happen bonus option, and one of them says, Bill says, I love Warbler. It's probably never gonna happen.
Why don't you like Warbler, Bill?
I'm just so in love with foam.
Fair enough.
We're 2 peas in a pod. That was really fun, you guys. Thank you, Monk, again for putting that together. I guess we'll keep doing this every week. That was really, really fun. We're all out of questions, but you guys brought some really, really fantastic questions. Again, just punishprops.com/live if you want to submit your questions. That page is there always, so you can submit them at any time, and we will tackle them on whatever the next episode of Prop Live is. So head on over there. Thank you, everyone, so much for hanging out with us today, and thank you, Jarrah, for hanging out with us from the future in Australia.
Thank you. You're welcome. It was a great thing. I also just wanted to say that happens to be anyone in Australia that needs Smooth On. I actually am one of the few people that can get it and can sell it to you.
Oh!
Because it's really hard to get here.
Well, very nice. You are the local Australia Smooth On supplier. Providing a valuable service to cosplayers around the world. Super cool. What? As long as it's in Australia. Once again, of course, you guys head on over to Facebook and go to Sunday Cosplay and check out all the really fun stuff that Jarrah's working on, especially when he can post whatever that thing is that he's been working on that he can't tell us about. And of course, go to Etsy, look up Sunday Cosplay over there to grab some of his really fantastic stuff. And there you go. Another episode of Prop Live in the can. Thank you again, Jarrah, for hanging out with us. Thank you, everyone at home, for hanging out with us for this hour. We will see you all next week for another exciting edition of Prop Live. Yay! That's it.